Oh shit, guys. It's Tuesday night, so that means Rebel Rock episode 5. We're going to be talking about some rock and roll, some punk rock, maybe a little bit of art this week because we do have a special guest. He's running a little bit late, but that will be Squarepainter.
Squarepainter. Very awesome, dude. I still have my Ninja Turtle Squarepainter painting. Piece of art
right.
hanging up in my arcade.
And there,
Your arcade.
There it is.
What's up?
Oh,
do we need headphones or we're good?
I think we're all right, as long as it doesn't
have mine on
on your end.
I'm on vacation, so I have mine on. So.
All right.
What's up, buddy? How you been?
Good. I got my burrito here, so.
You're all set.
You mind if I eat on here?
No,
Are we good?
I think you definitely should eat.
I figured.
I'm drinking a ginger brew. So.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, check it out. Not bad.
Is that a non-alcoholic variety or?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say your edge.
Still straight up.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, tonight we're hanging out with Squarepainter, and
what's up, guys?
He's an artist, obviously, and on top of that, he is a punk rocker from back in the day, and so we're gonna be able to talk some music. We can talk some nerd shit if you guys in the comments want to chime in and ask questions. We're down, but more or less, we're going to be talking about the punk scene in New Jersey and New York City, probably in the early 2000s. Is my guess is what we're going to try to talk about.
Late 90s, I would say. Late 90s to mid 2000s was really my era. So.
Hell yeah. Let's talk all about it. I love it. And I want to talk to you, and later on after this at the end, I want to talk to you about all the stuff you've been doing with you, Video Game Nerd, Angry Video Game Nerd. We're going to talk about that too. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh my God.
Seeing you play bass, I'm like, damn, all right, okay.
I got my basses back over there.
There they are.
I just bought the
what
jazz.
Are you rocking? You got the jazz bass, and you got
I just bought this. It's a Squire, but it's my Squire Jazz. It's the new one I just bought. Yeah, I love the pearl inlays on it. But I'm gonna drop some new pickups in there. So yeah,
I got a Squire bass. Dan's got a Squire bass.
No, I don't have a Squire bass.
Well, would you have the?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But it's not my main bass. But
it's not your main.
I got someone else here too because it's his dinner time. Nina's gonna have to feed him tonight. He's going nuts. This is my buddy Locke.
Oh, there's Locke.
Wow.
He's my buddy. I wish you could come to the games.
So Adam, let's talk. Let's talk some music. What was the first band that really got you into the music scene, the punk rock scene?
Into punk rock? I mean, like everybody else in the early-ish 90s, it was like Green Day and Offspring were the first ones that everybody heard. But I remember reading through the liner notes of Dookie and looking at like the thank yous. And I discovered like Operation Ivy through that and a bunch of other like smaller West Coast bands that they would play, that Green Day played with, like, Gilman Street and all that. And then from Op Ivy, I learned about Rancid, and also just from I remember seeing like T-shirts of kids in school like wearing, like I saw some kid wearing a Pennywise T-shirt, and then I went to like my record store and this tiny little independent store, and I asked them, like, do you have a punk section? It was this like 3 little wire racks, and I recognized the Pennywise logo, and it was the one with, like, About Time. It's the one with the bomb on the cover.
Bomb on it, yeah.
Yeah. So like, oh, I know what this is. Let me pick this up. And I love that record. And then from there, I learned a lot about like, Fat Wreck. I got really into, NoFX and Lagwagon, all the other Pennywise records I picked up. I got really into like the West Coast, like kind of skate punk. And again, looked at liner notes, looked at the thank yous. That was like the only way to find out about bands really back then. Because like there weren't too many people when I was in high school that were really into punk. They were not really in my grade. There were some kids that are older that like I'm actually friends with now that I met like from going to shows later on. I'm still friends with them. So I kind of like had to discover all this. on my own, and it just really resonated with me. And, you know, some of the other bands I got into were like MXPX, and I remember getting into Blink-182. Somebody actually told me about that, or let me borrow the Cheshire Cat album in like 96, 97. It was before they got big. And then I remember getting Dude Ranch and then hearing like Damn It on the radio like 6 months later. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, these guys are on the radio now? So that's how I started getting into punk. And then the first band that like really, really resonated with me was Face to Face. I remember they're still one of my favorite bands ever. I was in the car. She's like 11th grade, so this is like late '98, I would say. I'm in the car with a bunch of friends, and they put on the Big Choice record, and I love that album. And that was the first one that I ever heard. And they put on Velocity, and I was like, "What the hell is this? This is different. This is like more rough around the edges. It has a more serious tone, because a lot of the other bands were like jokey kind of bands, like NoFX and Blink were jokey, and MXPX was always, I mean, I resonated with them being 16. It was all about girls. But Face to Face had like this more like real rough kind of edge to it. And then I heard like the version of Disconnected that they had on Big Choice, and that was it. I heard that opening riff, and fucking hell, man, my life was fucking changed. I ran out, I went to the mall, I went to every record store, I found a copy of Big Choice, and I still have my original copy of that. I never got rid of my CDs. That's still one of my favorite records of all time. Like that right there, Face to Face, Big Choice was like the big, big life-changing record for me. I mean, other ones like Blink-182 those were like the gateways into punk. When I started like learning about like earlier Green Day, I like those more, like Kerplunk and like the Smoothed Out Slappy Hours, obviously the first record. I always like those more than the later stuff. So that's how I got into punk rock. And the more like rough, serious tone stuff like Face to Face, obviously, and then some other bands like that were kind of like that, like Hot Water Music, I really got into from them. And then I started diving more into like hardcore, like Ignite, and some other like American Nightmare I got into kind of around there. And it's crazy where everything has gone.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say that, especially with the face-to-face thing. It was the same deal for me. So, and obviously everything you had said about liner notes through Green Day was
always the liner notes, man. I would read them for every record, the thank yous, and like even just you felt like, you know, there was something bigger than just the record that was going on. Like with Pennywise, when I got Full Circle, because like Brohim was on there. And they wrote that for like their friend that had died, and like the whole Southern California skate punk scene. And just reading that and seeing the pictures inside, you just could see how big the scene was out there, and how like special it was to them, and how crazy, like this whole other world that I had no idea even existed, you know, was going on the other side of the country. And it was just so crazy to hear, and just, you know, be like adjacent to that, but still like, you know, viewing that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Now, what was the first local show that you went to where you saw the local band that kind of set you off?
Well, the local shows that I would go to, there was this band called Next to Nothing. I was friends with a bunch of those guys. The singer Dan and the drummer Richie. I knew them in high school. They were like 2 years older than me, and I remember going to like Coffee House, Battle of the Bands they would have at high school, and Next to Nothing played. And they were like a skate punk band. I think they actually had a song on like the PlayStation 2, like Winter Olympics, like 2001 or 2002 game. They actually had a song in that game. Yeah, so
well, that's pretty sick.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, like I mean, Richie I think is still playing drums. He's like in a cover band or something. And then Dan is like a school teacher. I haven't seen them in years. They're like married and have kids now. But they played a Coffee House, and I remember talking to them afterwards, like, oh my God, you guys are like fucking amazing. And I would go see them play. And did you know the band Autopilot Off? They were in the early 2000s. Yep. They were originally Cooter. They had to change their name because there was like a band from England called The Cooters, and there was like a legal thing, and they had to change their name to that. But Cooter went to my high school. They're from Orange County, New York. Actually, I could show you guys. I just dug out of my closet. Like I hadn't worn this thing. It was like a mechanic's like button-up shirt that was like a thing in like punk rock back then.
Yeah.
And it was screen printed like Cooter, like auto parts, 24 hours or whatever. I have it in my bedroom. I just dug it out. It was in my parents' house.
That's
I need
really
to post
funny.
it in like this punk rock Facebook group that I'm part of. But like I remember two of the guys in Cooter were like seniors when I was a freshman, and the other guys were older. They were already out of high school by then. And I kind of knew about punk rock and like learning about the scene when I was in like 9th grade. Like I didn't really have any punk rock friends to like guide me on this, so like I was doing it all myself. And I remember hearing them, and I would see them in high school and be like, oh my God, these are dudes in like a touring punk rock band. It's fucking amazing. And Next to Nothing would play a ton of shows with them, and I actually became friends with them because I would see them all the time. So it was them. Another band, Beefcake, was from the next town over in Washingtonville. The guitarist, I think his name was John, from Beefcake, went on. He was in the Ataris, and he was in some of the other like pretty like big punk bands. But Beefcake was a lot of fun. I liked them a lot. They reminded me of like NoFX. They were just like, you know, the fast 4-chord stuff, just singing about like dominatrixes and shit in your pants and all sorts of just silly stuff. And they all had that like the NoFX drum beat. I really liked them. So those were like the main local bands that I would always go see. And then there were other ones like that would like 99 Cents and Murphy's Law and the Sex Machines. They were from like the New Yorkish area. They would always play a lot of the local shows that I would go to. So mainly it was like VFW halls and like firehouses in Orange County that I was going to. And then I met other people like at those shows that would travel from like North Jersey. So I learned about like I don't know. Did you ever play at the Wayne Firehouse in North Jersey? Yeah. Yep. Wayne Firehouse was fucking insane, man. Some of the shows that they had there. I remember going with a couple of people that I met, and there was like a huge, like the burgeoning scene in North Jersey was nuts back then. This was probably like 99, 2000. There was the band Humble Beginnings. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I do remember them.
Yeah, Gabe from Humble Beginnings formed Midtown, and it was like right when Humble Beginnings was ending around there. Them and the other band Lanemeyer. You remember Lanemeyer? They were like, they were fucking great. It's crazy. Brian Fallon from Gaslight Anthem was in that band. Like when I saw them, like it was like their last iteration of the lineup when I got into them. Actually, the bassist from Lanemeyer has been doing this great podcast called "This Was the Scene," about like the Jersey scene and everything and touring back then. It's amazing. He's been interviewing like huge people. Like he had like Vinny from like Less Than Jake on recently. It's been cool to see that. But yeah, those Humble and Lanemeyer were like two that I really got into, and then from there like Bigwig, and they're still killing it. I can't believe Bigwig's still around. Catch 22 when before they became Streetlight Manifesto, because they were on Victory also when you guys were on Victory, right?
Yeah, I mean those guys. Kevin, the trumpet player, was our at one point he was our booking agent. We used to tour them all the time. They were like brothers to us. I mean, we played.
Yeah, that first album was Keys Be Nights, the one that they re-recorded as Streetlight because like something happened. The guy
this original singer left Catch 22.
Yeah,
and started Streetlight. So all the other guys were, Catch 22 were all the same, besides the lead singer.
Right. Because there was I remember because I saw Catch 22 once at the Wayne Firehouse, and it was like completely booked and all these kids came out in between the set and I just walked in with them. They weren't letting anybody else in. And so I got in. It was a huge show. It was like Catch 22, Bigwig, Beefcake, and there was like a big headliner. It might have been, this was like early 2000. I think it was like Newfound Glory or one of those bands. It was like Newfound Glory, one of those that were like right at the cusp of when the scene started to change and like Drive Through Records started to like really explode. It was one of those bands that was headlining, and it was nuts in there. Like I remember, like I would go to shows there pretty frequently, and they were always packed for the local bands. People would go crazy for them, but this was like something else. It was like there were tour vans outside. It was different. So that was the one time I got to see Catch 22 when like Tom Kanolke was fronting the band before they left, and the new guy came in. And that was just amazing. I don't know how they pulled off that sound. Like they were like juniors and seniors in high school when they fucking wrote that record, and crazy. And I just remember being blown away seeing them, that they pulled that off live, like how fucking tight they were. Their bassist played a fretless. I swear he had like 40 fingers.
Mingus on the bass.
Yeah, 40 fingers on each hand. I don't know how the hell he held those bass lines down. It was nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Actually, was it Newfound Glory? It might have been like Saves the Day or something. It might have been a bigger Jersey band that was playing at that. I can't remember. I definitely saw Saves the Day a bunch of times at the Wayne Firehouse, like before. Actually, it might maybe because I definitely saw them earlier when Can't Slow Down was out, and then I remember them getting really big, like right when around like late '99, like after I graduated high school. Timeline straight of like what bands I saw, but yeah, it was either of them, or it was Save as the Day or Newfound Glory, but that show was fucking nuts. And then I remember I saw Catch 22 afterwards, or like on a ska show with like Mustard Plug and Less Than Jake, and they changed the lineup by then, and I did not like that new front man at all. He just had like this bro-ish tough guy hardcore. Yeah, he looked like he was straight out of like like a New York hardcore band. And I never really got into that whole scene of like Madball and Scarhead and all those bands. Like H2O is the only one that I really liked out of that, but that was just a bit much, like with all the fighting and crazy shit that would go on. I never really got into that aspect of hardcore. I was always annoyed when a lot of those bands played, especially like Terror or Throwdown. Remember them?
Yeah.
I still love Terror.
What?
I still love Terror. Whatever.
All right. I would go see, like, I got really into hardcore in like the early 2000s, and I would go to shows, and it would be like, okay, I don't know, Every Time I Die is coming around. I want to go see them. And Terror or Throwdown would be on the show, and it wouldn't be like 5 jacked hardcore dudes in the pit. There'd be 40 of them with the hoods up, with the Terror hoodie, with the fucking grenades on it, pacing back and forth like a bunch of fucking gorillas with like
they sit
in their eyes.
They sat at the end of the.
Up. I hated.
They would sit at the end of the around the pit, and they would do this. They would do this. So when people got pushed into them and knock them out, they would just do that. So when you got pushed into them, you ran into a fist. Dude, I fucking hated
I wanted to
that.
be into it and like singing along with the band and going crazy, but like half the time you're playing defense from these guys that all weigh 300 fucking pounds.
Yeah, I mean, it did suck. That's why I got out of it. He's like,
that was one of the aspects of the scene that I didn't like. But I remember like the early 2000s stuff really changing a lot. A lot of people didn't like the direction that it was going because it was very much away from like the more fun punk rock to like more serious bands. I would say like Saves the Day was the first one to come in and really change shit. Like they came in and they dressed differently. They were wearing like their collared shirts, and they were all like these 5 good-looking dudes, and like all these girls were going crazy for them. And like they came in and changed the scene. And then when like Thursday came out, because Thursday's first record, when it was on Eyeball or whatever, I wasn't really into that. Eyeball was great. All the stuff those old releases, like the first My Chemical Romance record that was on Eyeball was ridiculously good. But Thursday's second record, and Dan, they got signed like probably right when you guys did.
We were on the label. We were on Victory for probably 7 to 9 months, and then they got signed. I remember talking to Jeff. It's Jeff from Thursday, right?
Yeah, Jeff Rickley's the singer.
I talked to him on the phone when they first signed because we're like, hey, let's trade some shows and help each other out since we're both East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take long for them to like just blow us out of the water to be like, yeah, we don't need your shows, but thanks.
Man.
He was a nice guy, though. He was a nice guy.
Yeah. They were always really nice dudes. But I guess the big thing with them was, in that time, all these bands that I would go see, even the bigger ones, like I went to see Blink-182 in '98, and I mean, there were a million kids outside waiting for them because Blink was huge by then. But Unwritten Law opened for them, and that was the first time I ever heard them. And I loved Unwritten Law back then. And a bunch of them were standing outside by their tour bus. And I just went outside and just started talking to them like, hey, I love you guys. You're great. And they were like really friendly. But when like Thursday got big and all that, these bands seemed like there was like more of a divide between the kids at the show and the bands. That there was like they were like a step above. Does that make sense? Like there was
Yeah.
like an air of like unattainability to these guys. These guys were like rock stars.
Yeah,
And no, not knocking them.
Taking Back Sunday, it was that whole movement.
Yes,
It just like it unraveled really quick to the point where the scene was saturated with these bands that were trying to do the same thing. So everywhere we go, we were playing with bands that were just emulating, like, so it was like three times removed. You have the original band, you have a band that wants to be that band, then you have a band that wants to be that band.
We could very much get to that, but
absolutely awful. But yeah, that was the beginning of it, and Thursday was like the first band that kind of set that thing in motion.
It did. And I absolutely love Thursday. Full Collapse is still one of my favorite records ever. Nina makes fun of me for listening to all that music. And right now, Nina is in the other room wearing a Thursday hoodie from me that they stole, that I probably bought at a show in like 2002. So I have to subject them to listening to Thursday, like in the car. Like I put on Understanding in a Car Crash. Like you will listen to this. Sorry, I'm gonna move this. The sun is like just coming through the clouds. It was just raining here before.
Wait, Boy Sets Fire, was that a Jersey band too?
Maybe I thought they were like from Florida. Boy Sets Fire used to play a lot.
I think you might be right, Dan. Possibly
from Jersey. I don't think they were.
Maybe
they were from the Northeast somewhere. I remember seeing Boy Sets Fire with like Lifetime or None More Black. Any of those, or Kid Dynamite. Any of those type of like faster, like hardcore punk bands, like American Nightmare. I remember them. That album, The Day the Sun Went Out. I remember really liking that one a lot. Weren't they label mates with you guys too? Weren't they on Victory for a while?
Which one?
Boy Sets Fire.
Yeah, they were.
Right. I remember they eventually got signed. I remember the singer. What was his name? Nate? He was really nice. He would like always, he was like, from like, you know, I always consider like Boy Sets Fire was like another one of those like bands where it was like kind of a step removed between like the crowd and the bands. But he was always really nice. Like I remember him coming out like after the set and just hanging out in like the pit with everyone and just being like giving everyone hugs. He was really cool. I always enjoyed that about him.
You know, it's one thing that bridged the gap for Saves the Day is that Saves the Day like would tour with Bane and like hardcore bands, so that kind of opened the door for them because as their own, they were being accepted, but because they were on tour with Bane and like Lifetime and all that, everyone was like, oh, okay. So that's kind of like what Dan was talking about, how it's like all these three sets of bands and
there were definitely there was three sets with like step removed, absolutely. But it was kind of odd how Saves the Day had this like really like poetic deep take on like, you know, pop punk emo, like when that whole like movement was kind of forming its identity. And it was very strange that bands like Bane and Lifetime, even though like pretty much Saves the Day's first record is a Lifetime. Terror's dope. All right.
All right. I gotta
Oh,
all right, Spice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Keep the questions coming, guys. If you
have any questions for Squarepainter,
any questions for me,
or any music chat, Bad
Brains is just classic. Like that was that was before all of our times. Like all of those like seminal 80s punk bands are great. One thing I must say I like about this podcast, seems like a guy that would go to Fugazi's show requesting Minor Threat songs.
It's me. I would be that. I'd be that guy.
Minor Threat's okay. I do like Fugazi more. I would respect Ian for not. I wouldn't do that. I only like Repeater and like 12 songs. Those are like the only Fugazi albums. Like Red Medicine and all that later on. I really never got into Fugazi too much. But I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't recommend like Boy Sets. It might be Delaware. That sounds about right. I knew they were like a Northeast band. I wouldn't do that. I mean, maybe I would to Gabe Saporta if I saw Cobra Starship back in the day, because fuck that band and fuck that like disco punk movement. Gabe was awesome. I wish Midtown would have stuck around. Midtown was
cool.
Dude.
They were on some comps.
Midtown was all right. Yeah,
I fucking love. Oh my god, when I like Lose the World, Save the Girl, when that album came out, it was like that was another like not as life changing as Face to Face. Nothing would be that, but I just remember hearing that and like Jesus Christ, this band like they came out of nowhere too. Like they just knew how to write songs.
Want to know one of the first thing I realized when I listened to Face, the coolest thing when I saw the first video on, I think it was like Fused or something. The bass player was playing Taxi yellow bass, just like Dan's hat, and I thought that was the sickest fucking thing ever. He had a black pickguard, Taxi yellow bass. I'm like,
that is bad.
That is sick. I just remember that being in the video.
What year was that? Because Face to Face. Like Matt Riddle was the bassist in like '95, and
don't remember. It was probably early 2000s. We're talking about.
I think I saw him in like '97.
Because Matt Riddle was in the band, and then I think someone left, and then someone filled in, and the longtime bassist is Scott Shiflett, and he's fucking ridiculous. A few years ago, we went to go see Face to Face. Nina's not really a fan. She just came with me just to laugh and see me go fucking nuts over songs that I've loved for 20 years. It was adorable. Nina, you want to come say hi? Nina's eating her quesadilla. She says hi to you guys. What was I saying? Yeah, Scott Shiflett's a ridiculous bassist.
It could have been him, the newest guy. They played Warped Tour a couple times too, and they have a second guitar player now, right? Oh, Lincoln.
Favorite show?
Buddy Lincoln. Squarepainter.
Lincoln, what's up? Favorite show that I've been to? I don't know. Any of I don't know if I could pick a single one, like the best show. Maybe the first time I saw Face to Face in 2000. They played 2 shows back to back the same night at Irving Plaza, and we went to both of them. And the lineup was, it was Saves the Day, Alkaline Trio opened, Saves the Day, Newfound Glory, and then Face to Face. And actually no, it was Alkaline Trio, Saves the Day, and then Face to Face. But then they played another set where Saves the Day was out and Newfound Glory was in. So it was like they just swapped the bands, and we went to both. And for Face to Face's second show that night, they pulled people on stage for I can't remember which song. It was something off the self-titled album. It wasn't like Walk the Walk or anything like that. But I remember being like right in the front, towards the right, and like Trevor was like right there, and it was so crazy to see this because like I had loved this band for like the past 2 years. They were like my favorite band. I had like photographs of them on my wall, and like seeing the dude right in front of me, like 5 feet away, was amazing. And then he's like, "Come on, let's come on stage if you want to sing." And like I was just like up and over that barricade and climbing on the stage, man, and singing. I guess that would have to be it. Yeah, singing on stage with Face to Face when I was like 19 years old was crazy. But a lot of other shows that stood out when you got to see bands that were really good before they blew up. I know a lot of people don't like Taking Back Sunday. I love their first record. Their second one after like that lineup, like John Nolan left and the bassist left, then it kind of changed. It just wasn't the same. But that first record, I remember going to a show and somebody handed me a flyer about it, and they're like, "Check this band out. They're going to be like the newest shit." I'm like, all right. So I picked up their album and I was listening to it and like, oh my God, they're doing something special. And I went to see them at the Chance in Poughkeepsie. I used to go there all the time. And like the upper floor, the balcony wasn't even open because there were that few kids there. It was just in the front. And I was in the pit with like maybe like 20 other kids, and the pit was big there, just going fucking nuts, singing every song, every word with them. And then like 6 months later, they were fucking huge.
Yeah, it really didn't take long at all.
No. What have you painted for this year's shows? A lot. Look at my Instagram of stuff that I've been painting. Sales have been crazy this year. A lot of the stuff that I painted isn't available anymore. They're gone. Some of the bigger ones that I painted, the huge 3 foot by 3 foot Contra. That was the first one I did in 2021. It's kind of hard to see the scale of that. I have a picture of like me holding it because it's so fucking big. That one, I did a 30 by 10 of the cast from Chrono Trigger. What else? I did a bunch of Earthbound pieces. Just go through. I honestly, man, I paint so much. I'm like cranking out multiple pieces a week. I get commissions coming in. I'm working with a gallery. I can get to that too. It just check it out. Shows are going to be kind of weird this year. Too Many Games is doing a 1-day show June 27th. That's usually when they do it at the end of June. Are you guys going to be coming to that actually? I don't know if you want to drive all the way from New Hampshire for that.
I can't. At the restaurant we work at, we're so understaffed that no one can get time off. So
that sucks.
Yeah. And I'm on vacation now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming live from Maine. So
always a vacation hanging out with Nick Grandchamp. So always a vacation.
Now, dude, do you do your art for like full time now, or are you still doing a job and doing painting?
I'm not living large by any means, but yes, I have been doing Squarepainter for almost like 2 years now, full time.
That's cool.
Fucking amazing.
That's
crazy.
Pretty awesome. That's a lot of work still. It's a big hustle.
It is. It is. If you want to talk about that, I mean, it's stuff in like 2018, 2019, like when I met you guys, that's when things like I was always doing okay, it'd sell. But that's when like sales really started picking up and I was getting like multiple commissions and I had like a backlog of things and I was getting invited to shows and I was like actually being a guest and stuff. And like 2019 stuff really picked up and I pretty much throughout 2019 I was able to pay my fair share, my share of like the rent and the bills, just selling my art. I wasn't living large at all by any means. But and then like once COVID hit, I was really worried, like, all right, maybe I could go back and do freelance graphic design work, because that's what I did, to supplement in between shows. I would just do corporate stuff. Like I freelanced for like Five Below and David's Bridal and stuff like that. It's boring corporate work, but it pays really well. I just fucking hate doing it. The older I get, the more I hate working for somebody else. I don't ever want to do that. So I've been very, very, very lucky, very fortunate. When I post a painting now and it'll sell within 10 minutes, and that feeling never gets old. And I thank every single person that buys my art. I love it. From the bottom of my heart, it makes me so happy, and I'm just so thankful and grateful that I can do this. But throughout COVID, I just painted a lot, and I got a lot of commissions, and people were trying to support independent artists. So honestly, last year, as much as it sucked with COVID, my business did amazing. And, I started playing in the band also. You can make during COVID, just wait until, thank you. Oh, Papa Pete. Pete, what's up, dude? I miss you. Thank you. Papa. Yeah. I'm already kind of planning for that, because conventions are starting back up in the fall. The regular Too Many Games, I don't know if you guys could take off time for that, if you could figure that out, because that's not until October.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. It's just like right now is a crazy time for just there's no one to work. There's no one to cover shifts. We can't staff a restaurant, so we're in big trouble. The whole food industry really.
The whole food industry, it sucks. I mean, it's nice to see
people
that
walking out. You see that shit? People like just shutting it.
Oh,
like people are just gone. There's no workers.
Pay people a living wage, and people will come back and work. That's what it is. Pay people. You don't give them slave wages anymore. Pay, especially the restaurant industry. Like you guys pretty much work off tips, right? That's like because you get paid like $3 an hour plus tips. Isn't that generally how it works?
Well, for front of the house, but back of the house is hourly. So yeah.
Okay, that's what you do. Like you work kitchen.
Yeah, I'm a prep cook. So I mean, it's tough. I don't know what the answer. I had talked about this with my girlfriend today for hours, and we don't know what's going on. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But yeah, it's such a mess. So who knows on that front?
Who knows? Things need to change though for everybody across the board, for low, middle class, all of us.
Yeah, I agree.
We have to be paid to live. We can't. Life is just too expensive, and life is not meant to be spent scraping by and just surviving.
You watch.
What?
We're gonna get paid. We're gonna get paid better. But what's gonna happen is like the cost of living is gonna double. Like all these houses now are so out of price that you can't.
Crazy.
So even if you do get paid, it's not gonna matter. It's like they'll keep bumping it. So even if you're one step behind, always.
I know there needs to be things put in place, like government action put in place.
Yeah.
So these housing developers and landlords and real estate companies can't do this. What's my take on the Descendants? 80s Descendants is okay. I never really got into them too much. I don't want to grow up. I like what's the one when they came back in like the 90s? Milo Goes to College. I like that one. I've seen them before. They played like some reunionish shows. I don't even know. Like in the 90s, I remember going like 99. I forgot. There was a band opening for the Descendants, and I was like Lagwagon or something like that. I was more interested in seeing them and seeing the Descendants. And like two of my friends that I went with were like insane fans. They were like hanging out with Milo after the show, losing their minds. Like, hey, that's cool. Like what the other guy in the band, Bill Stevenson, like he's the one that runs like a record label. Doesn't he run like Epitaph or something like that?
No, he runs the blasting room. Well,
Okay.
He owns the blasting room.
True, yeah.
Okay, I knew he did something big. I remember him talking about that. I was like, oh, that's really cool. He was talking about other bands that he worked with. But yeah, I like the Descendants for what they are. I respect them. I just I never really got into them. I know for like all these other bands that I talk about, I should absolutely love the Descendants, and I don't know. I don't dislike them. They're okay.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. When are you going to complete the dude? I still look for games for you, Dan. I can't find anything.
I'm missing 3 games. It's not going to happen. Like I can't.
No, we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen, dude.
It's too expensive now. It's like those.
What are the 3 missing? Tell them right now.
The ones you need.
I'm missing 3 games. It's the stupid golf trainer game, Cyberbike, which is an exercise game, and then Veggie World, which is a really crappy shoot 'em up, and that's like a $250, $300 game. So
Throw it down.
Oh man,
throw it down.
It's probably
Throw
not going to happen. And he also asked if I'm still working on the RGC movie. Me and Ryan started writing it, but with everything going on, we just don't.
I didn't know. When did you guys start doing this? I'll do a cameo. You want me in the movie?
During COVID, like we started sitting down and writing this plot out. We were going to do a legit movie just on a real, like no budget, because I saw every other YouTube channel being like, give us money to make this movie. I'm like, don't give us anything and we'll make
Don't give us money. We're just going to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to spite everyone. But it's stuttered out, obviously.
Yeah, it's tough. Am I into rockabilly or horror? Not really. As a skate guy, that was something that was played a lot. Yeah, it was. I never really got into rockabilly or horror punk or anything like that. I always thought it was kind of silly. I remember bands with like makeup and shit. You do your thing. It's fine. It just never that really never spoke to me. I mean, there were some bands that were like kind of like that.
Misfits from Jersey. The New Jersey Misfits are from Jersey.
Oh
right?
yeah, the Misfits are the Like everything, like 79 to like 82 Misfits. That's it. Like Danzig era. I actually I saw the Misfits in '98. It was one of the weirdest shows. It was the Misfits, the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, and I went to see I went for the Bosstones, and I can't remember the third band. It was at like Roseland or something like that in the city for like a Halloween show, and it was fucking nuts. And I love the Bosstones. Are one of my favorite bands to see live. They're great. Even though whenever I met Dickie Barrett once on the Warped Tour, and it was in the morning, maybe he was hungover and didn't want to talk, but he was such a fucking jerk. Like,
oh no.
Yeah, he was like so rude and dismissive. And it's fine, I guess. Like, you know, how many fucking kids are you dealing with at the show? It was like 11 o'clock in the morning, and he's like sitting behind the merch table with his sunglasses on. I asked him to sign a shirt, and he was like, whatever, go away. But otherwise, they're a great band to see live. And the Misfits then, that was like Michael Graves era. Like, I think that was like right when they were writing Famous Monsters. Famous Monsters, like, what, 01 or something?
Well, with it made the comeback was, you know, with Graves, obviously, in that first comeback.
Yeah.
Was,
maybe it was later than 98.
American Psycho and Famous Monsters. And then Famous Monsters did
which
come
was
out
which
too.
was a total dud. But
Oh, they were terrible. But shoot for June 2022 to make it back down. Awesome, Pete. I can't wait to see you. And maybe it was later than 98 then, because Michael Graves definitely was in the band. And I was never like, I like old Misfits, like, you know, We Are 138 and all that shit. It's like, that's classic punk rock. We all love it. And it just, they didn't sound good. They seemed like they just didn't want to be there.
You know, seeing
The
Papa Pete,
bosstones were amazing. They blew them away.
seeing Papa Pete come up, you know, reminds me of all three of us being at that after party at Too Many Games, and it was so tired. And there was that dude, I don't know who he was, playing his band. It was so sick. It was so late, and everyone's dancing. What was that? Who was that band? Was this one dude at the after party? You were there, Adam. You were there. Did you go, Dan?
I was probably there. I don't really recall. I mean,
there was this one guy playing, and we were all there, and I was talking to you, and everyone was fucking dancing this one dude. It was like in the hotel. I don't fucking remember, but I just remember.
Was it at the after party at the convention or like at the after party at the hotel at like the Hilton?
Hotel. It was. I was talking to you. Me and you were talking for a while.
I remember that we were like. I'm always like burnt and probably like half drunk. Definitely at the after parties. I didn't know the Bosstones put out a new record, When God Was Great.
Yeah, it's good.
I actually listened to it. I listened to it the other day, and I was trying to figure out if maybe my taste in music has changed or if something else has gone awry here. Because it certainly didn't hit me like Question the Answer or Let's Face It or Stockcore, The Devil and More. Mm-hmm. I mean, all those early records like really hit me. And I remember just hearing this new one, and it didn't do anything for me. And I don't know if that's me changing or if that's them changing. I can't tell.
It happens. I remember, with Question the Answers I loved, and then I got into them just around like in 97, I think I heard that, and then Let's Face It came out, and they friggin' blew up. And they were like
that was a wonderful record on a major label. Like,
oh my god, was so good.
There's not a bad track on that album.
No, not at all.
I will fight someone if they talk shit on that album.
No, absolutely, I will agree with you 100%. Every song on there is awesome. That is a great album. The one after that, Pay Attention, that one was good. It wasn't great. I don't know. Whenever I see them, they know what everyone wants to hear. It's like, every time I've seen them, they played Hope I Never Lose My Wallet. Like,
even those songs that were on comps like Sugar Free and Jackknife to a Swan, those are great Bosstones songs too.
Jackknife to a Swan, that was a later album, right?
Yeah, it was later.
It was on a comp too. That's the first time I heard it.
Really?
It was later.
Jackknife was probably 03,
2003, 04, yeah.
That was like their next comeback after taking a little bit of time off. Because they tried to repeat the Let's Face It formula with that album right after. Then they took the time off when it just didn't work at all. They couldn't capture that magic again. And it feels like they haven't, I don't know, it just seems like something's missing there.
They're a novelty band now. You know, they can do what they want because they already had their run. You know,
their legacy, 100% legacy.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of bands that are like, I just found out that Real Big Fish is still touring and their shows are huge.
Yeah, no,
people love them.
They can make a living out of this, and they love them. It's a novelty band. I mean, they're amazing at what they do. Nina and I were just listening to Turn the Radio Off when we were like putting the Christmas decorations away like a month ago because we're lazy and they were out until like March. And I was just obviously listening to the bass, and the bass lines are friggin' nuts. Just the musicianship in general for Real Big Fish is fucking crazy. I never really paid attention to that.
We had him on, and I would love to. We had him on the way up here to Maine, and I want to know what the guitar player used for guitar tone because it's so wacky. His tone is so wacky.
The front
so
man,
crazy.
Was Aaron. I saw them in '99, like right before I graduated, and he was playing like some like big Gibson like hollow body or something. He was playing. I'd never seen a punk guitar
like a rockabilly.
Yeah,
But
it was like a big rockabilly kind of guitar he was playing, and it sounded awesome.
They played a smaller club in Burlington a couple years ago, and my friend ran the club, helped booked it, and he's like, "Yeah, you can book Real Big Fish for like 2K." Like
that's it, really?
Yeah. Like,
all right.
Yeah, we opened up for them in Buffalo, and they all hung on their bus until right before they were going on stage, so we didn't even see them the whole night, which was a bummer. There was like no like Discord there. They didn't want anything to do with it.
That sucks.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of bands get that way.
That's kind of what I was talking about before. Once the scene really started to change, granted, if it was like a really big band, I could understand. Like Blink-182, they're going to just stay on their tour bus or something like that. They wouldn't like mingle in the crowd at a show because they would just get bombarded. You know, everyone would want pictures with them or something. But even like, you know, other smaller bands, I went to see like again, it was like Lagwagon, No Effects. It was a bunch of Fat Wreck bands, and the guitarist from Lagwagon, the really really tall guy, and his guitar looks like a little toy that he's playing. He's such a big dude. Was drunk out of his fucking mind outside of Irving Plaza, and me and this dude that I used to be friends with were just hanging out there with him, and like some of the other. I think No Use for a Name played also because, you know, all those guys, that was like the crossover. So a bunch of them were like hanging outside too, and we were just bullshitting with them for like an hour and a half just after the show. And they're like the nicest guys. They're just fucking hanging around. But I just remember, I think the guys, is his name Chris, the really tall guy from Lagwagon?
No, I'm not sure.
I can't remember. But
never met those dudes.
He was like fucking piss drunk and just downing like PBR. And just, he was fucking hilarious. Like the other guys in the band were fucking with him, and he was just doing all this dumb shit. Like any of those bands, like when I remember seeing Less Than Jake in like 2000.
Yeah, they actually hang. Yeah,
they're great. Cool. They're super. They headlined the show. That was when I saw Catch 22 with the new singer, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. This sucks. Like Mustard Plug played, and another ska band played. And Less Than Jake fucking killed it. And then after the show, we're hanging out outside, and the bassist with the dreads, what's his name?
Roger.
Yeah.
Roger.
Nicest dude. I have a picture. I need to find it. I found a whole bunch of photographs from back then. I posted a few of like me playing bass. I don't know if you saw on Facebook when I was like 19 years old.
That's awesome.
Wearing my emo outfit from the time, probably. Yeah, we all were. But around then, I have photographs of like me and my brother and some other people, like, and my brother was young then, so he was probably like 15 or so, and he just started coming to shows, and that was like his first one, and he was like blown away. We're like hanging out with Less Than Jake outside the venue. It was the Chance in Poughkeepsie. Nicest dudes.
Yeah,
but
I've heard good things about
I miss that about shows, that like it was, the bands seemed very accessible back then. Like they would play, like Unwritten Law played, and that was when they were opening for Blink, and the front man, I don't remember his name, he just happened to be behind the merch table, and I went up to buy a t-shirt, and he was like right there. And I was like, oh my God, I love your band. I never heard you guys before. Like, this is amazing. And he's like, oh yeah, we've been friends with like Blink-182 for a long time. So it's cool they're taking us out now. And like that's always what it was. There was always like a real connection that you can make with these bands. And then once they got a lot bigger, like you wouldn't see them hanging around the crowd. They'd be done, and then like they would go hang backstage in a green room or whatever. There was like a real rock star mentality about it later on, once the scene really changed in the early 2000s. And granted, there's so many of those bands that like I loved that got big, like The Used, the first record that The Used put out, fucking amazing. I love that album. But they were like ones, they just came out the gate like fucking rock stars.
Well, the singer was dating Kelly Osbourne, right?
Right, and that's what it was. So
that's kind of what happened. And now the drummer plays for Rancid, which he wanted to in the beginning. He had a Rancid shirt on from day one.
Right.
He's like the biggest Rancid fanboy that got to play for his favorite band.
Right.
So we're down to our last 10 minutes right now. Let's
already.
Yeah. I know.
Jesus.
Buzzing right by. I guess musically right now. So you're playing music currently with Angry Video Game Nerd.
Let's talk about that for the last 10 minutes. Sure.
Yeah.
So just from, it's like, if people, I have like,
how did it happen?
How'd it happen? Well, like Justin Silverman and Kieran that are like part of Cinemaster now, I've known those guys forever from doing shows. And Like I can't tell you how many times like Justin Silverman has gotten drunk and puked on my porch, and I'm like screaming at him for being an idiot. I love Justin, but I met James Rolfe from doing shows all the time because he lives in the area, so he was at all these shows doing his angry video game nerd thing, and we had booths next to each other, so we just became friends, and we always talked about like music and stuff like that because aside from punk, I was always into like 80s metal and shit like that. I like Rat and Guns N' Roses and all that shit. And we're like, oh, we're really busy with our stuff. And he's like, oh, I play guitar. Like, oh, I play bass. Wouldn't it be fun if we played music? And we talked about that for years. I'd see him at like after parties. We'd have like a beer and just shoot the shit. And in Portland, 2019, Portland Retro Gaming Expo, all the Cinemasker guys were out there doing like guest stuff. And me and Nina went out there. We weren't selling. We were just hanging for the weekend. So those were the guys we knew. So we just hung out with the Cinemasker crew all weekend. And James mentioned, he's like, hey, we're going to start doing this band. Originally, the name was supposed to be, Power Extreme from like Centurions. And so we're like, I don't know if that name really fits later on. So we started talking and writing songs. And the first one, Mighty Wings and Hadouken, started because Kieran figured out the Ken's theme on his keytar. He's like, yeah, check it out, guys. Look at this, man. Like, all right, that's cool. And I didn't even know that the Mighty Wings song from Top Gun was like the same song. So like last year, like around March, April, once the COVID bullshit started, James had a lot of free time. I had more free time. So we're just texting back and forth with like ideas and riffs and stuff. And he's like, hey, let's do Ken's theme with Mighty Wings. And it sounded good. So we had this whole layout. And then James Rolfe got a whole bunch of other people involved. James Ronald, Epic Game Music, that crazy Canadian. Oh my God. Biggest fucking shout out to James Ronald. He's the, first of all, his channel's amazing. His guitar arrangements are nuts. He plays a regular guitar left-handed upside down and just absolutely fucking shreds. So he came in and he did an arrangement, like a MIDI arrangement of this, because he's like a music producer. He knows how to write. And this sounded amazing. So he's the one that did the foundation for Mighty Wings and Hadoukens. And we heard this, we're like, oh damn, James, you want to be in the band? He's like, yeah, sure. So we had him, and then this other guy, the drummer Jeff, James Rolfe knew from years ago. So he played drums. He's this sick drummer. And then the front man is another James. We have 3 Jameses in the band. He also lives in Toronto, up in Canada, with James Ronald. Sorry, I'm throwing a lot of shit out here. He's in this band called Villainist, like this Sega-styled like electro pop band. And I never even met him. I've never met the drummer Jeff either. We've just talked like this over like Skype or Zoom. And so the first song was coming together. Mighty Wings and Hadoukens is coming together, and it was sounding amazing. Like I showed Nina this, I showed my brother, and then my brother was actually over my apartment, and James Ronald is like, hey, I got a guy who's doing vocals. He's gonna do a scratch track. I'll have the demo for you tonight. He sends it over. Me and my brother are over here drinking, and we hear this, and with like his soaring 80s fucking vocals that he has, and my brother's just like, this is your band? Like, I guess I'm playing in this fucking band now. So that song came out. We put it out. It was like July of last year, and we just filmed like quarantine stuff. Like I have my game collection right here, where like I filmed my YouTube videos. I just filmed right in front. James Rolfe edited it all together and made it look sick. And we got this great reaction. So we did a Zoom call, all 7 of us, and like, do you guys want to do this as a band? We absolutely could do this. And everybody agreed. We're all hyped on it. So we came up with the name Rex Viper. We have a gigantic list of songs. So we did Power of Love with mashed up with like the Back to the Future theme. And the music from the NES game was like, like a metalish kind of breakdown in it. Go check out these songs too. They're both on Cinemasker, after this, if you haven't heard them yet. And we have 2 more songs in the works that like I can't talk about yet. We have to sign contracts and shit, so like I can't say anything about it. I can tell you guys after we're off. I can tell you all about the new shit we're doing. I just can't say it on here. One of them is almost done. Working with James Rolfe is pretty fucking crazy because like it's weird. Like we're just good friends now. He's not an angry dude at all. James is like the most chill guy. So we filmed. He has on his property, he has like this big garage that he built into like a green room. So he has this giant green wall that like the curves, so there's no shadow. So we filmed there with like the newest song. I had to do like 25 takes on my bass because it was like all these angles, and you'll see what he's doing. It looks amazing. So we filmed that, and then me and him just jammed because we had just the isolated drum tracks for our song. So we were just jamming on those, and we had the isolated vocals too. So we were just jamming on that for a while. And it was pretty amazing. Like, wow, it's actually two of the guys in the band are actually playing the music together instead of like us just independently playing. So that was a lot of fun. And since James only lives like an hour from me, but you know, we're both busy, that we're trying to figure out times where like we can actually sit down and have like jam sessions so we can get like a really, really tight rhythm section. Because we're already planning, hopefully if everything comes through, if the Canadian borders open, we're gonna hopefully play Too Many Games in October. So the plan is to have the two Jameses come down from Canada, Jeff come out because he lives in San Diego, and get a practice space here in PA like for a week before, and have a couple like 5-6 hour just practice sessions to really, really, really nail this down. Because like we've never played the songs together, and there is a lot going on. I mean, there's 7 of us in the band, so there's a lot of moving pieces. There's backup vocals, there's keyboard. So we're gonna practice that, and we're you know, like I said, working on 2 other songs. We have a whole bunch of other ideas. Actually, last week I couldn't do the show because we had a Zoom meeting. Of course, of all days, they picked that one. When you asked me last week, remember?
Yeah.
I couldn't because we had the band meeting then. So we talked about other songs. We ideally would like to have a 6 songs recorded, maybe a 7th one, which would be like an original. And we're still figuring that out. But by the end of the year, hopefully by Too Many Games, we would like to have like a 6 or 7 song Rex Viper EP available and some merch. Pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
Other stuff too, I can't really talk about it, and I'll tell you guys after this because it's all speculative. We have an opportunity to possibly tour next year. I'm 39 years old. I've never been in a touring band before, and now it's like this just kind of fell into my lap. Like all the bands that I was in back in the day, we had no direction at all. We had no creative identity. Like, you know, River City Rebels, you guys had like a creative identity. You were like, you know, you put the band like you spearheaded the band.
I was driving.
Yeah, you had the creative vision for it and pushed it forward. All of my other bands were like, I was in like a hardcore band in Jersey, and I wanted to play more like, you know, like pop, like heavier, but like structured like pop punk, you know, like Drive Through Records type stuff. And then I was playing bass, but I was writing rhythm parts. One of my guitarists wanted to write all off-time breakdowns, and that had to be in every song, the chugga wee wee, like Norma Jean bullshit, which I like. And then my front man like wanted like this crazy screamy pseudo avant-garde hardcore punk Blood Brothers type shit he wanted to do. And when we threw all that stuff together, we had a couple of songs that worked out, but like we had no creative vision. We were pulling at stuff. We could have done something cool, but my point is now it's cool to be in a band with like a solid creative vision of what we're doing, and that we might be able to potentially do a small tour next year. We're already figuring out conventions because I like thinking long term, because once conventions come back and just the entertainment industry is going to absolutely fucking explode. Like once COVID is done, everyone's going to go fucking balls to the wall nuts to get out and do stuff. Once bands can tour again, once shit is reopened, once conventions can happen. So we want to hit a whole bunch of conventions that we would generally be at doing our own independent shit anyway. You know, like I'd be vending, James would be doing the Cinemasker thing, like James Ronald would doing this Epic Game Music shit. Places where we're all be at that we could play, that ideally makes sense, because we're all over like we're in 2 countries, you know, and the drummer lives in the other side of the country, that we're only going to be able to play a handful of shows a year. So we're trying to get all that down. Pretty cool to be playing in this band. It's amazing. James just texted me before with like some new idea for the newest song we're working on. He wants Nina to possibly make some props for it. Nothing's ever simple with James Rolfe. Working with him, man, like this video where I had to go and film, I asked him like, dude, the next video, let's not go as crazy as this so we can get it done and get the video done and get it out so we can keep the hype train moving and not have 5 months in between songs. And he's like, but I got this idea and this and this and this idea, and I have this graphic artist and this motion artist working with us now, and they're into it. I'm like, fuck, that's an awesome idea. That's a great idea, but my God, is this gonna like? Yeah. How long is it gonna take to edit this and get all the shots and get everybody?
It's always worth it. I mean,
it is. Rex Viper's a slow-moving machine, but I love doing it. It's great. All I need to do is just record my bass parts and then record whatever parts they need for the videos and shit. It's cool. I've been practicing a ton.
Speaking about bass, Dan got a new bass head today.
Got a new bass head?
I bought an Ampeg V4B 100-watt tube head. I drove to Maine today and bought it.
Badass. I don't even want to think about what the hell I'm gonna need for like when we go on tour, because like right now, even a half stack, I couldn't fit that. Like I live in a small like row house in West Philly. Like even like a full stack, like a refrigerator size one, that could not fit up my stairs to my apartment. It's a tiny little narrow stairwell. So I don't know what the hell we're gonna do. Screenwave Media is the company that is like that Cinemaster's partnered with. So like that's who Rex Viper fits under, the Screenwave Media umbrella. So I don't know, if we go on tour, I'll see maybe if like I got a touring bass cab, if I could leave it there or something like that. I don't really know. This is just stuff we're gonna have to figure out if it happens. I'm already like, if we play it too many games, I'll probably just rent like
you can do that too.
A half stack or something.
They usually have it.
They always have a back line there anyway.
Yeah, they have a back line.
Yeah.
Again, you're good to go.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I wanna upgrade the pickups in my Squire Jaguar bass that I got back there. So that thing was like $500 as opposed to like the $1,500 Fender version. And like all you got to do is just change some of like the guts inside, and you have a bass that sounds like that plays like $1,000 bass. So I'll need that, especially like the places we're gonna play at are more like mid-sized venues. So I'm gonna need something. We're already planning at like too many games because like when Psycho Stick plays, there's like 1,000 people that watch them, and we'll probably have a crowd around that. I've never played to that many people before, so.
I mean, you know, when Rebel Gaming Club plays, we got at least 20 people there watching. So.
Hey, I am always there.
And
I am always fucking there. Both of your shows. You did one where you just played the shit off the iPod and you had Aaron Kosharski dropping some heat.
That was amazing. You saw history right there.
I did. That was like, I left the after party. I was fucking drunk. I wandered all the way to Arnold. Like my dudes in Rebel Gaming Club were playing. I'm going over there.
We did the Daffy, man. We did the Daffy.
You did do the Daffy. Hopefully come back and play. Again, we'll do Rex Viper Rebel Gaming Club.
Hey, sick.
Now it's in your court. You make it happen.
I would love to, man. That's how all bands die, at the Heart and the Drive. And you got an Epiphone viola. Oh, nice. So the viola, that's like the Paul McCartney bass. Yeah, Epiphone is like the Squire to like, you know,
Gibson.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I have an Epiphone whatever, like the Gibson Studio. I have the Epiphone version somewhere back there. I haven't played guitar in a while. Yeah, so, the lower quality stuff, it sucks to say that, but just the lower versions should be more normalized to play those, because who the fuck can afford a $1,500 bass?
I mean, Epiphone makes great stuff. I have a bunch of Epiphone guitars, and I love them all. I think they're just as good as half the Gibson stuff that's being made now. So.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even really need that. Like the guy that sold me the Squire, like, I'm not gonna bullshit you. Like, if you're paying $1,000 more, you're paying for like slightly upgraded electronics and the Fender name on the head,
more or less, and maybe a little bit better build. But at the same time, how much difference does it really matter, and how much are you gonna be able to tell?
Dude, that Squire, it's like, it's so heavy. Like, it has like it feels like it is a solid fucking bass. I like that it has a slightly shorter neck. The jazz bass is nice to play, but I like a shorter neck to play. Like that Bronco bass, that's Nina's actually, that I played in the first video. That thing, I feel like I'm playing a Guitar Hero controller when I'm playing that. It's so small. So
But-
yeah, that's if we're over time, that's cool. I mean, I could bullshit with you guys for hours. It's great to just talk some punk rock.
Yeah, no, this has been fun. We've had a
Awesome,
blast.
man.
What we'll do is we'll have to do it again at some point, especially once you have some more stuff going on musically. And,
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely later this year, because the 2 songs that we have coming out, one of them is practically done. The vocals are done for it. I think we just got to do some keys on that, and then James Ronald has to do like the final mix and the production. But who knows when the video is going to be done, because everybody has to film on a green screen and do like 20 different angles for James Rolfe to get this. So that, and then the other song, I just recorded my bass part for the other song after that. Again, after we're done, I'll let you know what those are. You guys will be into it. The 2 new songs are fucking sick. Who knows when they're going to be done? But we just talked about other stuff. Was it weird you're in the shower watching this? No, it's not. No, everyone should be. Yeah, I might not be wearing pants right now. I could be sitting here eating half a burrito. Not weird at all. No.
yeah, guys.
Do this from showers.
So Squarepainter, thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Course, man,
we're gonna wrap it up now because my girlfriend is waiting for me to eat dinner. So, and Grand Champ's on vacation right now up in Maine. Yep, you can see Maine outside the window.
That looks like Maine.
It's Maine. It's fucking Maine.
It's fucking Maine. It's right there.
I'm way up there in the woods with the bears.
So, guys, have a good night. But Adam, hang out for 1 minute. We're gonna talk off camera. But
Sure.
to everyone else on YouTube, see you later.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Bye.